Hi guys, I'm going to read your I'm going to read reading Nayla's first blog. This blog is a very quick introduction. It gives us a little bit of information of who she is and why she decided to study abroad in France. All right, let's begin. First off, location starts off in San Diego, California. That's where her journey began. At the start of fourth grade, my family and I moved to San Diego, California. Even though I only moved about 20 minutes away from where I grew up in Tijuana, Mexico, my whole life was changed. In my first few months of living in the US, I experienced a lot of cultural misunderstandings about Mexico. Many of my classmates assumed we didn't have paved roads, electricity, or cars. While my transition to the US was challenging and often frustrating, it pushed me to use my limited English to find common ground and understanding with my elementary school peers. Regretfully, she experienced a lot of stereotypes, assuming that just because she was from Mexico, she didn't have access to things such as electricity or cars. And contrary to what a lot of other people believe, Mexico does have a lot of the technology that we have here in the United States. It's just mainly in the more rural areas where they may not have access to those. But coming from Tijuana, Mexico, being a very large city in Mexico, she would have had contact with that. All right, let's continue. I began to show my classmates the richness of my culture. For example, on Halloween, instead of bringing candy to class, I brought sugar skulls and taught my friends about Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. Everyone was curious and interested in what I had to say. By making the best out of my language abilities, I realized the important power of cultural exchange. These daily challenges fueled my creativity and pushed me to find new ways to relate to my classmates and find common ground. For those of us that aren't really familiar with Dia de los Muertos, it's essentially a holiday that's celebrated right around uh, Halloween, November 1st. Some of us are probably familiar with it now due to the movie that Disney made a few years back called Coco, where they really uh, have a big emphasis on Dia de los Muertos. After getting used to life in the United States, my English fluency grew and I was eager for new learning challenges. At 14, I began taking French language and culture classes. My interest in the country's rich history and cuisine, which is another word for food, sparked a passion that extended beyond the classroom. Now, along with each blog, she also includes pictures. In this case, here are a few from this first page. This first one talks about my Mother's Day festival at my school in Tijuana, Mexico. This is a traditional dress that they would wear. My dog Lucky and my cat Mitzi. Of course, I had to include them. And then here's a picture of her. My first week of class at San Diego State University. Now, real quick, I want to show you guys one quick thing just to kind of show us where San Diego is. So Lexington, Nebraska, right down below, and San Diego is in Southern California. Now, based on what this Google map is saying, I'm sorry for zooming out, it would roughly take about 20 hours just to get there if you were to drive, which just goes to show you how far away San Diego is compared to Lexington, Nebraska. All right, let's continue. Let's go on to page 2. All right. In this next page, we're going to start talking or learning about what inspired her to study French. All right, guys, my curiosity inspired to teach myself to bake macaroons and other traditional French dishes that I enjoy sharing with my family and friends. My drive, my drive to have an authentic French experience even led my family to open our home to a French exchange student. A macaroon is one of France's, I guess you could say, one of their desserts that is very popular. It's very sweet. I have never had one, but people know how to bake them. You can find recipes all over the internet on how to make macaroons. One thing that I think is really fascinating is the fact that her parents were so supportive of her desire to learn French that they actually opened up their home to have a French student live in their house. That's what a French exchange student means. That student came from France and lived in their home for for a short amount of time. After graduating from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to study in college. Instead of going to a 4 year university, I decided that going to a junior college was the best choice for me. This way, I could save money while figuring out what I enjoyed doing the most. During this time, I continued to take French language and culture classes and began taking political science courses. Excuse me, expanding my baking abilities at home and playing golf on my school's team. Playing for my college golf team was extremely fun, but difficult at times because it was a very big time commitment. I got to travel all over California to play tournaments against other schools. Even though golf is a very independent sport, every player's best effort is important for the overall score of the team. My favorite part of playing golf is having to think critically. You always have to be one step ahead of every move while being able to adapt to any mistakes you make along the way. It's unique because, unlike sports with courts and fields, the course or terrain that you play in is different every time, and you never know what to expect. I don't play golf competitively now, but I still enjoy doing it for fun with my old teammates and friends. Soon enough, I received my associate's degree in political science with a certification in French. I was finally ready to transfer to San Diego State University, where I started my first semester at SDSU. I decided that it was time to put everything I learned about to France to good use. Here are the pictures that accompany this page. The first one, here she is with her exchange student friend Arthur, welcoming him to San Diego. Here's Neyla baking delicate macaroons. This is what macaroons look like. And then here she is with her college golf team. All right, on to our last page. Since San Diego lacked the thriving French communities and native speakers that would enhance my learning process, spending a semester in Paris was a perfect choice. I applied for and received the Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship, and before I knew it, I was on a one-way flight to Paris. I have so many stories to tell you. Let's journey to France together. A couple things. One thing she mentioned here is that she talked about how in San Diego there's not a lot of French speaking people there. So it makes it very hard for you to practice and learn a new language. So that's one of the reasons why many students decide to study abroad is so they can be fully immersed in a language because it forces you to have to use that language. You're surrounded by it 24/7, and it ends up increasing your vocabulary and makes you a much, much better speaker of the language of the country you're living in. Um, Pretty fascinating. All right, here's the pictures from her blog for this last page. My last college golf tournament. Here she is with a trophy. Next stop, Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. And then visiting my new school, Sciences Po, in Paris. So this is her in front of her school. And the next time she sends us a blog, we'll be able to see a lot more information. Now, one last thing before I finish, I want to share with you a quick, I guess, map of where San Diego is compared to Paris, France, and how far it is. So here's San Diego, south of in Southern California once again. So in order for her to fly, she's flying across the entire continent, or excuse me, the country of the United States and over the Atlantic Ocean into Paris, France. As you can see, that's quite a long distance. On Google Maps, it says that 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 it takes roughly about 22 hours, 22-hour flight. Now, I would assume she had multiple stops along the way. So by the end of the day, it'd be very, very long and tiring. And during, because they're in the Eastern Hemisphere, that is actually nighttime in France when it's nighttime in our country, and vice versa. So you have to get used to that time change, which can be pretty challenging for some people. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got for this short video. Be sure to answer the questions. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.